Hey everyone. This week, the Oxnard Hardcore family got some bad news that one of our brothers, Nik Ulmer, had passed away actually last year. And he kind of went around the internet, and so we wanted to do a little something for him. Um, I have his friend and old bandmate, Eric Kudla, aka Boner, on the phone right now to say a few words about him. And you can take over and just let me know when you're done.
Oh yeah, awesome. So yeah, Nick was one of those guys that you would see at every show, but you never really talked to him because he was always just kind of doing his thing behind his camera. But he was at every show, taking pictures of every band, and I just kind of bumped into him randomly out front of a show at the living room in Santa Barbara, and he sold me my first Infest record when No Man's Land first came out, and or No Man's Slave, sorry, No Man's Slave first came out, and he just was doing distro out in front and just said, "Here, buy this." And that was pretty much the start of my friendship with him. And he showed me pretty much everything worth listening to at
Well,
that
can there
time
be a
period.
better
And
start? I
what do
mean,
you mean?
can there be a better start than getting that Infest record? Like, you say no more about Nick,
Oh,
right? Like, you
yeah.
have to
Oh,
buy this.
totally. Absolutely. I mean, I didn't even know who he was, or I hadn't heard of Infest at the time.
Yeah,
And he's like, "You need to listen to this."
yeah,
And that, like I said, like, yeah, perfect start. I mean, that was looking back on it. I mean, there could be no other better way to have started that friendship
right.
was over something like Infest and music at a show. And so from there, I was in heavy artillery at the time, and we needed a guitarist, and I never really thought of it, but eventually remembered that Nick played guitar, and so he joined the band, and it completely changed the dynamic of the band. Again, bringing in, I mean, he's phenomenal at guitar, surprisingly phenomenal. Writing all the best riffs. I mean, he listened again, started with Infest, listened to all the best music. I mean, he showed me Spaz and Sticky and all the Slap a Ham stuff, all the 625 stuff, all the Japanese thrash, like Total Fury and Nice View and Jelly Roll Rockheads and all those bands. He showed all of us all of that stuff. And so when he came into the band, he brought all that stuff. And when someone is shy and stuff like that at a show, I mean, normally a lot of times they're pretty outgoing and wild when they're having a good time. And so it really it translated on stage as a lot of people who've seen him play in El Mariachi and bands after Heavy Artillery. I mean, he lit his guitar on fire. He'd break it all the time, jump into the crowd. I've got plenty of pictures of him on people's shoulders during a show. And it's just, there's, I don't know.
And
After
he was a lefty.
and he was left-handed. Yeah, on top of it, and so he couldn't borrow anybody's guitars. He had to bring his own all the time. But yeah, no, Nick was somebody different, something different, And as you can see from everybody's comments, after we all found out, we all kind of just found out by rumor, and just recently, and you can see how big of an impact he has on everybody. Everybody, from people that just saw him at shows to people that went to their first show with him. And so he was a big, big impact.
Yeah, universally respected, and
Mm-hmm.
even though his music taste like skewed more to like the wild side, like you're talking about, was
Mm-hmm.
never disrespectful to like the straightforward stuff that like I was doing. Like a lot of times
Oh
people are
yeah.
like, "Oh, I don't get why like this generic shit is popular," and like they shit on it. And
Well, the
he
thing
was never
was,
a guy that took that approach.
not even that. I legitimately loved it. He loved all of that stuff. I mean, he was way into In Control. He was way into the straight edge hardcore stuff, and he was way into all music. I mean, he got me into Wire and Captain Beyond on the rock side. When we were on tour, his tapes were just ridiculous, all over the place. Piss Jeans and Youth of Today and like on the same tape,
Yeah,
and it was just across the board, just wild shit. He's the one that got me into like Jimi Hendrix jamming with BB King. And he was just, like I said, it was anything that was good, he already knew about
yeah,
and was like, "Oh, you don't know about it? Here you go. Have it." You know what I mean? I want you to listen to this. He would make me mixtapes and CDRs of just stuff I should listen to. And that's how I found out about Piss Jeans and about Knuckle Scraper and about Mind Eraser, is because he's just like, oh, you should listen to this. It's cool. And that's how he was to everybody. Just, hey, you should listen to this. This is cool. And
Absolutely.
and it was awesome.
Like
That's how it should be.
shy, but also infectious.
No, totally, absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
anything else to say to wrap it up?
Um, you know, not really. I've got everybody's got 100 million stories, and I've got a lot of fun ones with Nick, just on tour. And um, one thing I really remember is we on our very first tour, I was supposed to take my van and it broke down, so we ended up taking his little S10 pickup with all three of us on tour across the border into Canada. And by the time we got to Canada, it was toasted. It was not running right. It was not doing good. It was blowing smoke the whole time. If you've ever been to Vancouver Island, it's you take a ferry,
Sure.
and they when we were coming back off, it stalled in the toll,
Oh
and it
no.
would not start. And they said, "You're not bringing this truck onto the ferry." And so what we did, we pushed it out into the parking lot, smashed all the windows, popped the tires, just destroyed this car, left it for stolen, took all of our stuff, and just took the train back on tour. And so and then we got back, and then Nick just had a bicycle.
Yeah.
And that was it. That just, I think it kind of instilled, like the whatever, like, yeah, it's a car, do it, smash it, let's go. We got to keep going. And this is part of the memory. Just kind of the way he lived about stuff is, yeah, whatever, smash it up, let's do it. And then we'll go on to the next thing and have a good time. So that was a really fun memory with him on our very first tour up to Canada and back.
That was beautiful. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Eric.
No problem. Thank you very much.
All right. Now we have the man, the legend, Tony Molino from In Control and Annihilation Time and Charman and every band that ever needed a drummer.
The town drummer for Oxnard.
That's right. Definitely the town drummer from Oxnard. Fucking the mascot.
Hell yeah.
So Tony's here to say a little bit about our fallen brother, Nick.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to say Nick's an old friend of mine, and back in the days before, like, either of us knew how to play an instrument, we would always watch MTV after school at his mom's house, and, junior high, all that kind of thing. And then finally one day we went and got gear, and then we jammed at my house for, all of junior high. Weren't very good, but it was the beginning of me doing what I do. So he's really important in that way. And then also just one of the coolest, most talented people that you could ever meet, and it's just one of those things where it's kind of shocking that he died, because I don't know if it was anything negative or depressing or anything like that, but it's weird how you can never tell what some people are thinking. You know what I mean? It's pretty weird. But, yeah, I don't know. He was my best friend in junior high, or one of them. And, I don't know. It's pretty sad that he's gone, I guess.
So initial distrust owes everything to Nick.
Sorry, what was that?
Initial distrust owes everything to Nick.
Oh, yeah, definitely, dude. Like, back in the day, that's how it started. Me, Nick, and there was Sean and Alex Byrne. And then Alex Byrne went to your band, dude.
Yeah, AAO.
Yep, that's how that started. And then Sean bounced from what we were doing, Joel Perkins, and then Todd Jones came in, and Eric Barker, and all that. And that's Initial Distrust. Or Todd was later, but Initial Distrust, Joel Perkins, Josh Poole, Eric Barker, me. And, yeah, it's crazy. And then that led into In Control later on after Stand Your Ground. And that was Todd. And then now you got Nails, and now you got Retaliate, and now you got Charman.
Yeah.
Oh, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, just evolved.
Yeah, it's crazy that he was there for the start of the Tony Molino drumming journey.
Yeah, insane. Way before the Powerhouse beat, too.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Right. You got anything else on Nick?
I don't know. RIP. It was good talking to you too, Zach. Good luck on your podcast. It's pretty dope.
Thanks. All right.
Oh, yeah.
We have another one of Nick's friends, Fernando Hernandez, and you can take it over.
Cool, man. So yeah, thank you for doing this, Zach. It's really cool of you. Yeah, man. I guess I found out man, I found out like 2 weeks ago, and I just said I was just really busy with work, and it's kind of like a transition time with that. Like I currently teach in Oxnard, right? I wanted to teach in my community and give back, so I'm teaching on the South Side. So I'm moving schools, and my position got cut, so that kind of was weighing on me. So when my friend told me, Dante, I was just like, fuck. Like I kind of, you're going really fast with things in life, and you hear something like that, and you're like, all right, man, I'll deal with it later. So now that like kind of I have more time, like we got on break, and then when Cola Boy posted it, I was like, oh my god, man, like this really happened. So when I start to think about Nick and like that era, like obviously like you guys are a few years older than us, like and what you guys were doing, like within control and stand your ground, it was a really, to me, it's like I think we're really lucky that we lived that golden age of hardcore, like that 97 era. And so when I look back at that, I think about that in context. I think about like, man, like, like this great scene here, like the great bands that played, Floor Punch, like 97A, 10 Yard Fight, like what you went on to do, and like Todd Jones, like it's like you revitalize this area, right? So then that going back to like Nick, like, you guys were like, we all went to Oxnard High, and like I would see you guys, and then like me and Milo and Javi and Robert, all of us were like younger than you guys. So I don't know how I met Nick. Nick was like, like a punk kid, like outside the box kid. And like, he was like, I guess like your age, right? I don't know. You guys graduated in 99?
I'm 98, so I think
98.
he was Tony's year, 99.
Okay. Yeah. So we were like by the lockers, and there was other cats, Chris Faxon and Ryan Vizina, and then Nick, right? And then Isaac Castro. And like I don't even know how we met, man. Like, but Nick was just automatically cool, and like he like he never tried to cool guy us, and like Nick, what was cool about Nick and everybody from that crew, like then the 99 era cats were like Nick was already into like all this outside the box stuff, right? Like at that time I was on like Profane Existence, Crust, and all that. Right. And like anarcho punk, yeah. And you guys were like, at the time I wasn't too into like the straight edge 97 revival stuff, like the kind of New York hardcore kind of stuff yet. And then like, so Nick was like kind of met me where I was, and he was like, oh, you should check out like Ripcord, or you should check out like this. And then I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I kind of started getting into that. And like what I remember is that like Nick, he never like kind of like clowned on anything that I was into, right? He was always like kind of, oh yeah, that's cool, like, but he would kind of keep on pushing it further, right? So then I graduated in 2001, and then like I kind of ended up going to Ventura College, and I mean at that point, right, you remember like shit was really popping, man, like No Reply, Life's Halt, like just like a really golden era.
Yeah.
And he like Nick, he would end up playing guitar, and then he had his fanzine, right? Like Carnage Asada, take pictures at shows, and
let's take a moment to think about how sick that fucking name is, Carnage Asada.
Dude, I know, man. Like, and he had a
that's brilliant,
dude, amazing. Like that's what I'm saying. Nick was like Nick, and here's the thing, Nick was really funny, man. Nick was funny, and like you would think he was quiet, but he was funny as hell. He was into like, I mean, I can't think of like the comedy shit he was into, but he was into like just like different shit, right? Like I was probably like just like into the mainstream, like Martin Lawrence or some shit like that. Right. And then he would bust out with like some other like shit that was like kind of like just obscure shit that you're like, oh fuck, man, I never would have thought about that.
Yeah, he's I think you summed it up a little bit like saying like Nick was underground to the bone, but yeah, but he never big leagued you.
No,
you know?
Oh no.
It's like you could come off the, it's like he might have not been into all the stuff we were doing, but or like it wasn't his main thing, but he never shit on it. Same thing. Man. It's like whatever, you're in a Martin Lawrence, he's not gonna be like, oh, you're a fucking pussy. He's just like, you gotta check this shit out,
Yeah, and then he would see the humor, like, like mainstream shit, right? Like that was going down, like he would get it, and he'd be like, oh yeah, that he would see the like again, dude, that's which is rare, man. Like dudes like him, like I was like, man, he would never like clown on it, right? Like he would see, oh, okay, I see what's funny about that, like cool, like, and he would laugh at it too.
Right.
But then he was like you said, underground to the fucking core, man. Like, and so, and then I think I don't I don't want to sound nostalgic, I hate that, but I feel like that generation was like pre-internet, really, when it really took off like full blown like it is now.
Definitely pre high speed internet, right?
Yeah, pre high speed, right? So I know you and everybody from like you guys, like I know you wrote letters like crazy, man. I know you sent mail order like crazy, and I know that's how you linked up with a lot of people, like when you were getting into stuff, like flyers and stuff. So for Nik to be into all that, it was like he really loved like hardcore and like music and punk and like underground subculture. So then Carnage Asada, man, like I mean he had like diverse like fucking bands like featured in there, like so that was what was cool. And then like another memory is like then he would take us to all these cool shows in LA, Santa Barbara, like, and he would be at those shows too, taking pics. Like I had a band called VYO, like that would end up starting like 2002 2003.
Right.
And like he recorded our first demo, like Nik recorded it, and then Nik took us to our first show, like because we used his like he had like a white pickup truck with like a camper, and like he took his like amps for us and everything, and like it was with the Devros and Isla Vista, and Annihilation Time was supposed to headline, but then the cops shut it down. So this was Nik, man. Like Nik was like sowing seeds, man. Like Cola Boy, then he did a Heavy Artillery and with Eric, and then he did a mariachi with Cola Boy, and this is already like in 2009, 2008, 2007. So like Nik was prolific, man. Like he ended up doing those Generator shows too over there at Perkins. Like dude, he made me mixtapes and like comps and stuff for me. Like I mean, think about that art. That art is kind of lost now, like.
Yeah.
Like taking the time for you, like for someone else that's getting into it, and you're like creating something with your hands, taping it from vinyl or whatever. And like he would put on badass bands on there. Like he put on like one, like he had like Void, like he had like Ratus from Finland, like international shit, man. Like then he put Saccharine Trust, like man, it's like he was
all over
like
the place.
Yeah, dude, like which is what it should be, like pushing you and like supporting you. And like I mean, man, it was like fucked up, man, because like right, Oxnard's going through some rough times now, like with the budget cuts at the city level, like budget cuts in the district, like Carnegie Art is closing. Like youth don't have a lot of shit to do, and like Nik was like somebody who was supporting youth in Oxnard to be creative, like I honestly, I mean, I'm gonna just straight up say it, man. Would there be a Cola Boy right now, Matt, what he's doing, which is dope? Like, would there be a Cola Boy without Nik? Like, I think he represents what like every scene, like somebody that creates like this fertile, like kind of like a ground for other people to grow and do, like be themselves, And that was Nik, man. Like, this was just dope as fuck. And you did that too, man. You did that too. Like people like you, all the shows you guys set up, like. So it's like I think it's like. I don't know. It's one of those moments that makes you. It's fucked up, man. It just fucked up because I don't see anybody. I don't know. Like the way shit is now, I feel with social media too is like people who get into art or music or shit like that. Now it's like it's like this kind of like you said, one upmanship, like cool guy and big leaguing. Like it's like image is a lot. I feel. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, there's too much. There's too much content now. Where where you don't have time to like everything. So everything is shitting on everything. Where like before it's like I don't have enough stuff, and like someone comes along and shows you like 4 new things, like I'm gonna latch on to every piece of it.
Yeah, man, and then he's Oxnard, man. I mean, like everything he did, like Carnage Asada, Oxnard, like like and I think that's what I remember, man. I remember this dude that just put out so many things, like in that time, of your life. I mean, dude, again, man, nostalgia. Like I don't want to be like that, but
no, we don't. I don't think we have to be nostalgic. Let's embrace the idea of someone being passionate about something and loving it and having the balls to latch on to things and share it with people and say, these things that I discovered are a piece of me and I want to share them with you. And everyone should look around and think about positive things in their life that are important to them and share them with your friends and tell your friends that you love them and be there for them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And again, like you said it, man, like sharing, that's a big thing. Giving a part of yourself for like our that community, man. Like, you know, and every you know, hardcore's still going, still so many dope ass bands, like, and you know, and that's special. Like right now we have cool bands going, you know, Mega Point and Dead Heat, and like people doing shit in Ox, like photographers like Joseph, the, you know, kid, I'll give him a shout out. Like Fred was still doing stuff like that barbershop in Ventura, Mucho Gusto. Like, so there's still like, you know, this is the youth coming up now. Like this is their time too, you know, and like we're all still a part of it. But you know what Nick did, you know, sharing that special time of our lives, like, you know, like, you know, it's like another historic era of Oxnard at that moment, I think, and like, and he helped create that too. So, you know, like, rest in peace to Nick, man.
Yeah, rest in peace to Nick. Thank you. All right, everyone. That's it. Excuse me. That's gonna wrap it up for the Nick tribute. Nik Ulmer, rest in peace. And everyone, tell your friends you love them. And it's a weird era in society in America where everyone wants to be a fucking hard ass. I think everyone needs to tell people you love them, you know, and appreciate things. And putting yourself out there and caring about things is more badass, and that's more hard than acting like you don't care about shit. Those are the real motherfuckers, are the ones that put themselves out there and admit they care about things. So, rest in peace to Nick, and that's all.